Hello, everybody. I'm Reverend Sue Frederick, a Unity minister, master numerologist, and author of several books, including the Angel Up book series. Let's have a mystical conversation, the kind where we lose ourselves in the wonders of divine mysteries, share dreams from the other side, intuitive nudgings, and soul mission yearnings. I am so excited because today I have the best ever guest. This is someone I met here in Arizona a couple years ago through Helping Parents Heal. And I've always wanted to have her on the show. She's quite wonderful. You guys are going to completely love her. Her name is Jennifer Brazier. She is a certified evidential medium whose work offers profound messages of happiness, healing, and hope, reassuring individuals that their loved ones are always with them. Through her compassionate mediumship, Jennifer brings forth messages that help people navigate through grief, confusion, and loneliness that can often accompany loss, and leaving people with a renewed sense of peace and a deeper understanding that love never dies. Her mission is to open hearts and minds to the eternal nature of the soul and to help others connect with the comforting reality that our loved ones are at peace and continue to walk beside us, guiding us through life's challenges. Jennifer also volunteers as an intuitive consultant for the Find Me group, a nonprofit organization dedicated to locating missing people. And she supports the work of Helping Parents Heal. You all know that's my favorite organization in the world. And that organization offers healing to bereaved parents through spiritual support and connection. Jennifer's mission also includes true crime and working on these cases. She is featured in the TV series pastbutpresent.com, where she uses her abilities to share messages of healing with a wider audience. She's going to talk about that today. She is currently working on a second television project that focuses on using her intuition to assist in missing person cases. I love this. Her website is jenniferbrazier.com, and that's JenniferBrazier.com. You all are going to love her. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you, Sue. And my goodness, what a nice intro you gave me there. I appreciate it. And I'm so thrilled to be here. Thank you for opening up your heart and your show for me this afternoon.
So why don't you walk us through that amazing process that you go through when you're trying to connect with a spirit, either in a location, because I've seen you do that on your documentary, or just when you're reading someone who's lost a loved one.
Well, I have the same process I've been using since I began doing this work, and it's been, gosh, probably about 25-ish years. Um, and really, I just calm myself, and I simply do that by breathing. And then I start giving gratitude to my team, those that work with me, that are always there, my loved ones that have walked this earth, my ancestors that I never got to meet. And then I also give gratitude and love to those that I've never met, but I know that they're here to support me. I just don't remember that I agreed with it. And then I also ask for, should say ask for, but depending if I'm at a location or if I'm dealing with a person one-on-one or if I'm in a group, I will just say, this is where I'm at today. I'm still in the physical. I kind of have to, I remind them and say, this is what I'm going to be doing today and show up, bring happiness, healing, hope. And I always ask for laughter because laughter is an energy that heightens the energy and it makes it easier for your loved ones to come forward.
So
So
you
that
so
is
you're
what I've
talking
kind of
about frequency shifting, that your
that
first step is shifting your frequency up to be closer to connection with spirit. I love that. And laughter especially. I love that.
that is yes. have to shift myself first before I can do anything else. And after that, there's three different steps that I have used, and they're just visualizations. I visualize myself connecting with my creator, and then I visualize myself being light to the unseen world, and then also light to the seen world. And then I step into a place that I have known here in the physical, but also I remember it, but I don't know exactly where, but I call it my sacred place. And I go there and I then know I'm in the spirit world.
What does
And when
that
I say
place look like, Jennifer? What
oh
is
my
that?
gosh, to me, it looks much like where I live in my common life, meaning, I don't know if my life's common. I got to back up when I said that one. But, our life, there's water there. There's a little bit of hiking and walking, and there's some boats, and it's a place that I feel very safe and serene at. And that's where I know my guides, and I know that's where my loved ones meet me. So that's where I start at. And at that point, there's different words that are used. I'll just use the word that I attune. I attune just simply by taking a deep breath and welcoming them. And when that happens, my eyes are always open. It's not necessary to shut your eyes. It's not necessary for me to have candles around me or to wear certain jewelry. I've done this work in cars, in hotel rooms, in my own office. The spirit world will meet us and greet us wherever we are at.
So, how did
So,
you learn that you have the ability to be sensing spirits in a location when you're, walking on, hiking on the land or whatever, wherever you go? How did that come to happen? And how do you tell me about some of your experiences doing that?
that's probably you get me excited talking about that because that is something that it's my passion. It's my absolute desire. And I really feel it's part of what my purpose here is on this earth is, yes, the title of a medium, I honor that. I'm thrilled that I have those abilities. I don't call these gifts, Sue. I don't feel like I'm gifted.
Hmm.
I feel that I have learned how to attune my energy and how to decipher.
Hmm.
And I've always communicated with the spirit world since I have been a little girl. And I just thought everybody could do this. And when I became a teenager, I started telling people around me things that wasn't appropriate. I would tell my girlfriends, like, you know what, he doesn't really like you. Or I'd say, I know you cheated, or I know you stole that. And well, you know what, I started losing friends. And I just thought I was helping people, but I didn't realize at that young age, I didn't know what was going on. I wish that I would have had a mentor. I wish I would have had somebody sit down and work with me.
Hmm.
And that's part of what I feel my journey is here is to mentor and to teach so that people that have questions, I can say, no, don't do that. Or let's step back here and let's work on this. Um, but as a medium, it is connecting with the unseen world. It's being their voice. It's telling their messages and connecting that love, that eternal love from them through me to the recipient or to the crowd or to whoever's receiving. When I had an opportunity, it's probably been about 6 years ago, and I was at a conference, and there just very briefly, a gentleman walked into the room, and I just felt drawn to walk up to him, and I said, "Are you ready?" And he looked at me, and goes, "Am I ready for what?" And I said, "It was like it came out of me. I heard myself, but Sue, I had no filter. It was like it just came out." So this person, he and I become friends over a course of a year and a half. And he is a videographer. He does movies and films, and he was there filming for a project that somebody else was doing. So I'm going to fast forward here is that I was at a location with some girls' friends having a girls' weekend, just low key. We're just having fun, being goofy, relaxing. And he had to show up to talk to one of the girls. And I hadn't seen him in about 2 years. And when he walked in, it was almost as if the air shifted. And I'm not saying like, oh, I fell in love with him. It was more like there was an essence. And I know so many of you may have felt this just by maybe walking into an old building or walking into a library or maybe into a friend's house or maybe even a new job. It just, you kind of feel like a shift. Like, I like to be here, or you may feel, I don't want to be here, but it's a feeling within. So um, he and I had an opportunity to spend some time together while the other people needed to do work on something else. And so he said, hey, can I just talk to you about what you do? So we ended up walking outside, and we were in Florida, North Florida. And we walked outside, and it was a sunny, beautiful morning. And as we walked out, there was a little gate around where we were at. And as soon as he opened the gate and I walked through, I don't know how to explain this, and I know people will want to know more, or they may even educate me, but I literally felt like my body went back into slow motion and I roared forward. Now, I don't know what that is. I've been told it could have been a vortex, it could have been my energy shifting. I'm not sure. But as I walked through and realized that happened, I found my body turning to look at him like, did you see what happened? And I physically watched him do the same thing. And I watched that everything around us was blurry, but he and I. So as we walked through, the first thing he said to me is, did you feel that? And I said, yes. So we walked a little bit further and he says, Jennifer, I can't go any further. I've got to go get my camera. I've got to film this. So he went back into the house and we told some other girls that were there, if you want to come out. And I said, I'm being pulled and I'm being pulled by spirit. Now, that's not normal or typical for me at that time. So he gets his camera, the other people come out, and we all go through that same vortex again. All of us, I don't, I haven't really had it happen again, other than this bending. So we go through and we go on a little bit of a journey, which I called it about a half hour. And I was met by some individuals, and they had lived there probably 1,000 years ago. Now you're going to go, now, Jennifer, how do you know this?
No, I'm
Well,
not going to say that. No, the audience that you're speaking to right now is very sophisticated. So you saw
good.
spirits coming forward saying that they lived on the land. Is that correct?
That is correct. I had a woman come up and she put her hand in my hand and she pulled me forward. I was in front of the group. As she pulled me forward, I was able to visually see her. And she was probably about, I want to give her what she looked like, about 5'5". She had dark skin. And she was wearing clothing that I knew was made out of animal skin. And she had long hair and she had fruit with her. She had like a mango. And at the time I was explaining this, it was being filmed. And so as this process goes on, or as this half hour goes on, is that she brings me to meet some people within her community. Now, the rest of the group I'm with, they don't see these people. And I'm relaying back, this is what's happening. So as we get forward to this place, and we're going through a marshy area that there are alligators, and somebody has put trip wires into this location because of the deer, so the deer don't go into the water. And not one of us tripped over any of these wires. The alligators did not come near us. We were safe. We get to this opening where I could see, smell, taste the food they had created, the smoke that was there, and what was taking place. Or what was taking place with them. They were chanting, and there was kids that were giggling and laughing and kind of playing off. And as I turned to the group I was with to explain who was sitting there in the middle, an eagle showed up above us that started circling. It was magnificent. All of us started to cry. I'll cry talking about it because it was felt unreal. And then these big monarch butterflies, yellow and orange, came and they started fluttering around in circles around us. So between our little small group here, we're crying, we're giving gratitude, we're laughing, we're giggling. They let us know that they appreciated that we were here because there was a story that needed to be told.
Mm.
So we leave that place and we get back, and it's a little bit emotional for all of us. We sit down and we're kind of like dissecting what happened. So one of the girls that lives in that area was able to get a hold of somebody that, I'm going to use my air quotes here, was a historian that was able to validate and verify everything from the names of the community, the names of those that had lived there. It was very humbling. And so that was the beginning of reading the land and being able to connect with those that have lived in a location. And for anybody that does any sort of mediumship work or psychic work, there is a name for this. It's called psychometry.
Mhm.
And so I use my entire body as kind of
Antenna.
the antenna, thank you, the energy antenna, so that I can start to pick up and get the information. So that's where past but present.
Mhm.
That's where there's 6 shows. It's on UB or Tubi TV. It's free. So go check it out. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. But that is the birth of that series.
And you went to many different locations after that, right? In the making of that series?
Yes, they brought me to locations. I would fly in. They would let me know where I'm going to fly in. Everything is safe. The group would meet me there at the airport, and then I would not know what direction we're going in. And they would then bring me to a safe place that we probably would spend the night there. We'd eat and whatever. In the morning, they would bring me to locations that sometimes I'd have my eyes were covered, and then I would get out of the vehicle. And as you guys will see, that I start to pick up information, and the stories start to open up and but every single one of these stories and every event that we went to, we had somebody that would be able to validate or verify what I was receiving.
Mhm.
So it's all
And
it's all
what
true.
were these souls telling you? Like what what is the story they want you to tell about their lives?
They wanted to talk about the legacy of their life,
Mm.
no matter how they lived, no matter what they did. And there was a little mining town. It's in Colorado, St. Elmo. And when I was there, I can't help but kind of giggle a little bit. There was a lot that was going on there, a lot of gambling, a lot of stuff that wouldn't be tolerated today. Um, but no matter how these, men or women lived or what they did to survive, they left this legacy, their story, their soul's purpose.
Mhm.
And so there is no judgment on what they did or how they did it. They just allowed me to be their voice. And that's where these stories kind of unfold. And that kind of pushed me into more of the investigation and also understanding what our souls, if we all have a soul, what's our soul's purpose? So
Right.
kind of brought me into a couple different areas there. So
And also, when you do the true crime investigations, tell me about those. Like, is the soul telling you how they crossed at a certain location, or tell me about your experience with that?
So I had made a huge change probably about 2.5 years ago that I devote probably about 90% of my time using my abilities to help families that have loved ones that are missing or that there is some sort of criminal piece that it hasn't been resolved or there is some sort of death that somebody's saying, no, there's nothing that happened, but everybody is saying this had to have happened. That makes sense. And so I use my abilities as I would to give a reading to someone, but I ask the person that's missing if they can blend with my energy.
Mm.
And it's the same way that I spoke about how I speak with the spirit world, but I also asked, I have to ask permission first if they are willing to work with me. Now, not everybody's willing to work with you. So, and there's reasons why. I'm not to know. We're not to understand why they weren't found or this criminal act happened. There's more to learning to take place. But it wakes me up in the morning and it puts me to bed at night.
Can you
And I don't
share a
mean in a negative
story
way.
that can you share a story that stayed with you of these true crime investigations?
Well, there is what there that's very I've got a bunch. There's a couple that really have that I wear on my heart. And I have to say that, part of this work is we're not to get emotionally involved, but I'm still human. I'm still in this physical body and I still really feel, connected with some situations. And I know there's boundaries and there's grounding and there's all that, but sometimes at the end of the day, it's still like I still think about them. The very, very first case I ever got involved in, and this young girl, she was 5 years old and went missing. To this day, she's not been found. Her physical body has not been located. And the story was how I got drawn to it is I was at a rest stop, going on a trip at a rest stop, just going in to go use the restroom, and there was a missing poster. And I looked at it, and as I looked at it, it was almost like her face came out to me. I mean, she's a cute little 5-year-old girl, first off, but I felt attached to her. And so I immediately started Googling and looking, and I was like, well, this is more to me than what's happening right now. And I started getting, I want to say signs, and I'm talking physical signs. And all of you understand that when, you see the same numbers or you see the same song keeps coming on the radio or somebody with the same name. Well, I kept seeing her poster. It came, but it wasn't like it was in the most bizarre ways that it was coming to me, not in dreams, but in physical ways that somebody will reach out and go, hey, Jennifer, do you know anything about her? And I'm like, and so that was the very first case that I had a police officer that reached out to me and said, I know you're a medium, but if you can communicate with those that are no longer alive, would you be able to communicate with her? And I thought, well, I don't know if I can or not. And so the human part of us comes in that says, I don't know if I can do this. What if I
Right.
let anything down?
That
That big
human
feeling.
part, that human part will always be there for just for all the listeners. When you hear that voice that says, I don't know if I can do this, you go, of course, I'm a divine being who came here on purpose.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, I got to remember that myself. I tend to say, tell me more, just tell me more, because I want to be your voice. And so just kind of to fast forward with this little girl here is I gave a reading to this police officer and it was a female. And she said to me, there's things that you have told me that nobody knows. And so it was I guess I was being vetted. If
Mhm.
that's the right word. So I worked with her for on and off for about a year and a half. And because of, how can I say this, politics and because of law enforcement and because of some very strong red tape, the individuals that were involved in her no longer being alive or being able to be found, they were in jail and they pleaded what they have their rights to do. But unfortunately, her body hasn't been located.
Mhm.
But
But
she was a
you're
very strong communicator.
but you're very sure she's in spirit. Is that correct?
I absolutely know this beautiful, beautiful young, oh, beautiful soul is dancing in the light right now. And, you know, people sometimes will say, and you may have heard this, Sue, people asking you, well, why would this happen? Why do we have these horrible events? Why do people do this stuff? And as part of us in this physical is that sometimes we'll never know.
Mhm.
We won't know. We won't know that big word, why?
Does that
Why?
little girl care if you find her killers? Does it even matter to her?
I don't, yeah, such a great question. I don't think that she's attached to what they did to her or how she left this earth. She's not attached to that. It's more about, again, her legacy, her story, her purpose of coming here. And because of her passing, because of what happened with her, there's been laws that have been changed.
Mm.
And there is new guidelines that have been put into the police departments because of that, their hands being handcuffed. So there is some very positive things that came out of this. Now that's how I look at this. I know a lot of people will go, well, wait a minute, we have a 5-year-old girl that we don't know where she's at.
Well, we always talk about in our spiritual work that there's two ways we view life, and one is through the human lens and one is through the soul's lens. So you're really talking about how the human lens will always say, why did this happen? And this is a tragedy. But our souls are here on purpose and have a plan, and there's no tragedy in that perspective of it. It's like, I left early. I was only supposed to stay for a certain amount of time. And maybe I'm here to help you believe in your psychic gifts. And maybe my family of loved ones knows that I'm already gone. And so there's no greater purpose in, my body being found. It could be that that's her perspective on it. The spirit perspective is so much different from our human perspective. Do you believe that that's true? Is that your experience?
I 100%. I know that everyone that has left this world, an animal or a human, that they have a higher sense of understanding of what they went through while they were here in the physical world. And they are in a place that they are happy and healed and still learning, and they're aware that we're here. They don't want us to grieve. They want us to be happy because they know that we're also here to live. But using this little girl as an example, I'm not speaking for her, but I am speaking about her, is that, I don't know if she chose that life or chose the possibility that this could have happened to her, but because of what happened to her, huge changes have happened that probably saved so many more lives. That is what I always try to hold my lantern up against to light off of to go, Jennifer, just remember that.
Mhm. Well, before we started recording, we talked about how you're a Sagittarius 11 master soul. It's a double 11 in your birth date soul calculation, which means that all of your life you must have been very intuitive and very sensitive long before you were calling yourself a medium. And you were telling me, about growing up and having thoughts and saying things that were inappropriate. I can completely resonate with that in my own journey. But at what point did you come out of the closet, so to speak, and what precipitated that?
I like how you said that. Well, I've always, as I mentioned, I've always known that I've had friends that I talk to, and when I say friends, and people will go, well, what do you mean friends? Do you see them? Do you hear them? Do they touch? It's like I have a sense of knowing they're there. It's like we need to set another place for them at the table because they're hungry. Let me go get some carrots and peanut butter because I know that they're hungry. It's just a sense of knowing. Now, as I got older and my my level of filtering it wasn't, I didn't know what I was saying. I would say things to people without being aware of reading the room. So as I got older, I was in a wonderful job that I truly did enjoy and I loved. But all this, it's almost like a shift happened with me. I don't think it was my job. I don't think, now I realize it's not my job. It wasn't who I worked with or worked for, because it's too easy to blame someone else.
Mhm.
But it was really me that changed.
Well, it was
And
your soul stepping up to your true work.
I absolutely know that in a very quick amount of time. And I want to say probably within 60 days, my entire life flipped. Some, ugly situations into now I realize, thank you.
Yes. I'm
Because
curious. That was probably a 9 personal year in your numerology. Can you tell me how old you were when all of that happened? See if that was a significant turning point according to numerology.
I can tell you that it was, I know it was happened to me in 2013.
So that
So
was, let me do some math here. Um,
end of 2012 and then into 2013 is when everything changed for me.
all right.
And
Just two. All right, so you are entering your second Saturn return. I love numerology and astrology because you were definitely entering the time that everyone hits in their mid to late 50s, where our soul is going, okay, you know who you are. Quit messing
mhm.
around. We're going to flip your life upside down until you step up to your true work here. And if I had your true birth date in front of me, which I don't worry, you don't have to give that to me now. We would look at you were probably in a 9 year as well. And that means that's your whole life was just going to come up and swirl around, and we can label it in a human way and say, "Oh, that terrible boss fired me," or blah blah blah. And then we look at it through the soul's point of view and we go, "Wow, my soul woke up and I could never play it small again."
Oh, there was never going to be a moment that I didn't let my true voice speak.
Yeah,
And I didn't care who knew what I did or how I did it. I knew innately within me that I was finally living my life of service.
I love this.
So I lost friends.
Yeah, I was just
I
going to
lost people
say,
in my life.
but
It's all right.
that's we lose the people who can't keep up with us, but we attract the people who are ready to grow and learn and expand with us. So
Isn't
it's a
that the
great
truth?
exchange, in my opinion.
No, it is. But when we're in the middle of it, sometimes we're like, what did I do wrong? What am I doing? And it goes back to that why word. And I have found when Spirit told me this is like, quit using the word why, Jennifer, because why will only put you into the defensive mode. Like, it creates something that is negative.
Mhm.
So I have chosen to use the words they gave me as like, tell me more of what I need.
Yeah.
What do I need to know about today? And so it's kind of like you slowly start peeling things back. And so that's sort of what happened is I went to my husband and I said, I really want to go do something. And he looked at me and he said, okay. And I go, and I started crying. I go, I have to do this. And he goes, okay, you got to do it. But I needed to travel over to Europe. And he said, go do it. And I couldn't believe, I mean, I'm still so blown away he supported me. Not that he would not, but I was worried he would question why I was doing it.
That's a true soul agreement when your partner goes, "Yeah, go do what you need to do." Yeah.
So that was me coming out of the closet of going to a place that I was mentored and somebody was able to go, don't say that, say it this way. What about this? And so I got to kind of sharpen the edges of the public piece.
Mhm.
The piece of connecting with the spirit world, um, it's such a beautiful, beautiful thing that all of you have the intuitive abilities. Some of you will question, well, I don't, I'm never going to be a medium. You know, I'm one of these that says if this is something that you have a passion about and you know this is what you're to do, you are a medium.
Mhm.
Now, I know people will argue with me about that, but when we really trust those feelings, those senses inside of us, that we are being pulled, and I mean, it's almost like a physical pull to go forward.
Yeah.
Now, if you feel like you're being pulled backwards or to the side, I feel that's something else.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I work with so many clients. I have worked with so many clients. And when you hear the same stories over and over again from thousands of people, you know that, gee, I wish I had validated all this scientifically to prove to the world that
Yeah.
every soul has a higher purpose than what they first set out to do or believe about themselves. And that if we don't wake up to it in our first Saturn return in our late 20s, then that's okay. That's the normal growth. If we then invest in our family and our normal career, then we hit the second huge wake up call in our 50s, mid 50s to late 50s. And that's when the soul says, now or never. And you're a master soul on the 11 path, and I'm on the 22. And when we agree to come in on those master soul journeys, that nudging is, I hate the word nudging actually because it's more than a nudge. I guess I
No,
have
it's
to say that that tumultuous tornado of change and energy that hits us, there's almost no way to say no to it when you've agreed to an accelerated path here. And you and I both work with people who've lost loved ones, and that grief precipitated them to waking up to the soul's great potential, the soul's great mission. So I guess anybody who's listening, if you have been through devastating grief, then you know it's a great gift from your soul to get you to step up to do your great work. And like what Jennifer just said, if you have a longing to connect to spirit, connect to spirit. And then if you feel like going and being trained, go ahead and do that. But know that all of us have the ability when we shift our frequency, like Jennifer was saying in the beginning, through gratitude, through love, through laughter, we shift our frequency up. We are more connected to the spirit world and we can download their messages even more powerfully. I love your story, Jennifer, and I love that you've even taken it to the land, so to speak, where you can walk and see the stories of souls that have gone before and what they have to share and tell, because that is so important. I mean, we tend to walk in our modern world as if we're the first and only people who've ever
Mhm.
walked here, and our world has lost a sense of history in many ways. And so,
Right.
for you and your film, your documentary, and what's it called? It's called Past But Not no, past
Right.
but present, right?
Correct. Past but present, yes.
Right. That's a great wake-up call to the world to pay attention. There's energy and spirits everywhere trying to help us remember that we're spirits and that this is an eternal journey here, not just a brief lifetime. So, what would you like to leave our listeners with? Either a story or some message that you'd like to share with them?
I still want to stay on the, reading the land or connecting with someone in the spirit world. That piece, I'm being kind of drawn to say this,
Mhm.
is that, there's a lot of individuals that made decisions while they were here in the physical. There are still people right now in the physical that are making decisions that are harmful, hurtful, devastating. And there is a lot of fear that's going on in our world at this time, but there's also a lot of fear that was going on 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 100, 200 years ago. But to focus on what we have going on now is that when people will ask or say, well, why would you want to connect with that area? It's haunted or they've got mean spirits there. And I will stand up with both hands. I will be at the front of the crowd and you will hear my voice. There is no such thing as haunted and there's no such thing as mean spirits, and nobody wants to hurt you.
Yes.
Television, books, selling things, I don't care what it is, movie, whatever it is, has created something that's not real.
They've built up a fear story. Yeah.
And my
Mhm.
goodness, it frustrates me because people will get a hold of me and they'll say, please, my house is haunted. Will you come out? And I'm like, first thing I do want to laugh because I'm like, oh no, you just have somebody that just wants to say, hey, I'm here.
Right, right.
Yeah. So whatever personality they had when they were alive, if they were goofy or funny, that's what you're going to get. Now, if they were angry and surly, you're going to get that.
And you can
If
help them.
yes,
You can
yes,
love
yes,
on them.
yes. You are, Sue, absolutely. And that's my message to all of you is when people say, oh, I saw this dark mist come into my house, or this is what somebody down the street is saying, this is what's taking place. In your mind, just say, I love you. I love you. Send it to the person that's saying it to you.
You know, Jennifer, I love it that you're saying this because when Jean and I moved into this house in Arizona in 2018, um, it was very clear that there was kind of a hurt or an angry little boy spirit here. And it showed up in countless ways. And I'm very sensitive, and so is Jean. And so at first, because we're human, we were a little bit kind of frightened about it. And then I was like, no, wait a minute. This is a little boy who needs love and who maybe is lost and doesn't understand where he is. And so we made it our mission to love on every room, walk around and talk to this spirit with so much love and say, come and sit with us. We have friends here. You'll really love them. We're talking about wonderful topics. And I would have groups come to the house to do gratitude circles and stuff.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
Now I still feel that spirit here occasionally, but it's a very happy spirit and it's only visiting and passing through because that it feels like that spirit has found, the higher realms to move to, especially with all the guided meditations I do, bringing people into the higher realms. You
Yes.
can't be in this house and not go there.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
I love that you're saying that because so many people have such crazy stories about that in their own homes and in their own lives. And you are a warrior for the light, and you are helping people understand that if they're scary, they just need some love.
You know what, that's exactly it. And plus we, as still here in the physical, is that if we were in a group and there was 10 of us and I said, "Oh my God, did you hear that?" All of us could react because fear is, you feel fear.
Fear is contagious.
Thank you. It's contagious. So when you walk into a location or a place, let's just say that you go to land that there was wars years ago, or there was a lot of death and destruction, that energy is very strong. It's very, very heavy, heavy. Love is light. And so when you're in that heaviness, do exactly what Sue said, is love on it. Think about love, whatever love color is to you, think about that color. Put that music on that evokes that. But yes.
That's so cool. Well, I can't wait to see more of your TV, your new TV show. What was the name of the new TV show that you're working on, or does it have a name yet?
It has I'm going to call it a play, what do they call it? A fake name right now. I don't know what it will.
Placeholder, yeah.
Oh, thank you, placeholder. It's called Chasing the Truth.
Oh, I love that. Chasing the
That is the investigative part using the abilities. And then past but present is, like I said, on Tubi TV, you can watch that for free. But I'd love any feedback from anybody. And Sue, thank you so much for opening up your heart
Well, you are such a
today.
beautiful
Thank you.
soul, and it's just an honor to know you. And everybody, you can find Jennifer and learn more about her at her website, jenniferbrazier.com. And her last name is Brazier.com. And Jennifer, are you still seeing clients as a medium as well?
I am. I don't have a lot of spots. I'll be honest about that. As I said, I'm shifting into more focusing on the missing and helping families that need immediate need. Not that the readings aren't an immediate need, but yes, I still am doing them.
That's so cool. All right. Thank you, everybody. This has been Sue
You.
Frederick having a mystical conversation with the amazing Jennifer Brazier. So please come back for our next mystical conversation. For more information, you can go to SueFrederick.com. Thank you so much.